The film mentioned about pet manufacturer, food manufacturer supporting vet schools, right? In terms of, what ingredients or what pet foods facing the ailments. What's being done about that? Is there anything being done about that?
Well, okay, so the question is pet food manufacturers who go into vet schools. So both vets that you see in this film and a lot of vets that I meet have, and it depends on the vet school. It's not every single school because, some schools can teach more about nutrition, but the two vets that you see in the film had one nutrition course, and I think it was a day. And so it's an industry representative for a company that comes in and says, here, if they have liver problems, we have this diet. If you have kidney issues, we have this diet. And that's the extent of it. It's not like 2 years of, courses here and there about nutrition. So what's being done about it now is I'm seeing people, the common sense as something like this happens, or, it's not that far off if you think about it. So like, how do I put this in words? I'm saying common sense is coming back. So as I meet people, they're like, oh yeah, I was only given one nutrition course. Why? Because of the 2007 recall, it's difficult for the industry to get away with what they've been getting away with for a long time. So both of these vets, Barbara Royal, Oprah's vet, she started her own Royal Animal Health University starting in April. It took her 4 years to do it, to where if you need a credit or to extend your, get the credits for your license, then we are here to help teach you what we've learned and what we've practiced for 20 years. So it's going, but it's not like the industry's heading that on. People are sort of left to do it themselves if you want it, because there's, I think people are so influenced that they don't even realize it from the major companies. It's odd.
If I could just add to that, ultimately, they're the ones with the deep pockets. The schools rely on them. They write some of the books. The primary book that they use, and I believe it was Wyson who wrote it, I'm not sure the fellow's name, but it says, the first thing it says is dogs have no requirement for carbohydrate in their diet, and then goes on to recommend carbohydrate. So ultimately, deep pockets get noticed. Raw feeders who don't even have to go to a pet food store. I apologize if there's pet food store owners here. Raw feeders who don't even have to go to a pet food store aren't necessarily their customer. So they're not going to teach about somebody who's not their customer. And yeah, we'd like to think that eventually that'll get fixed, but the deepest pockets win.
And just to add to that really, I came from it from, I don't even have an animal. It was my best friend who produced this. He's the one who had the animal, and he's the one who was confused, and then had me get involved, and then we sort of went on the journey together. But I didn't come from it knowing anything. So my question was, well, if corn is getting criticism and raw is getting criticism, well, what's appropriate? So what I did was sit down with the lobbying organization. Hello. I know you're watching every word that I say. And then give me the reasons why. You represent all of the big companies. I would love to speak with them. The response is, that's not going to happen. Okay. Whenever I asked everybody about the dry food science, you could find the holes, and it's not difficult, to why the science for the dry food is more for them to defend what they're doing versus if you do a study about everything and come up from the ground up what's actually appropriate. No. Does it keep them from bashing, raw food or the idea of something species appropriate? But what I'm learning is lobby organizations, which are in the film, the guy that says, it's the most highly regulated product on the supermarket shelf. Their job is to spread doubt. So that's why you have issues of, oh, well, I need to do this so that it's not build up in the mouth. Oh, I need to do this because it might not be complete and balanced. So it's not working for them as time moves forward, because with me making this, towards the tail end of making it, everything started to shift. All of a sudden, it was no corn, no wheat. When I began making this, it was almost like you can't criticize corn. You're going to get sued. They're going to come after you. So the industry changed even while I was making this. But to add to your point about the book, one of the books, I went through many books because the big question was, I can't say anything about raw food because where's the science of the raw food? People will criticize that you don't have the science. Eventually it was like, well, when you're making billions, why wouldn't you have the science? Even if you're criticizing it, you could have the science to then prove your point of what you're criticizing. But one of the books I got was what you just mentioned, where in the book, it does say that dogs do not have a dietary requirement for simple starches, like grains. But the whole book is research on why corn is good, etc. But on the back, so I had this book for like 6 months. I'm lugging it around with me because it's 5,000 pages. And then one day I happened to drop it, and on the back of it, it said sponsored by Hill Science Diet. I'm like, a veterinary book sponsored by Hill Science Diet. Lovely. And in the back of the AFCO book was everyone's information that attends the meetings to help fashion the rules. And it was Hill Science Diet, it was Mars Incorporated. All of these people came together. I wrote them all, no one responded. But everybody comes together in order to get agreement. So they can say, well, we're not making the rules, we're just here to get agreement. So we can ship things to every state. Okay, great, that's fine, but like you're fashioning like if you go to a state, what rules do I follow? The AFCO rules, which people set up. So it's a mess.